With rumors going around that Hyein's father is now at odds with the other parents and even his own wife over NewJeans' contract termination, many are drawing eerie parallels to the 50-50 and Keena situations. The big question now, will this turn out to be a completely different story, or are we headed for the same dramatic ending? Back in early April, things started to unravel with a Chosun Biz report that hinted at family tension behind the scenes of NewJeans' contract situation. According to the report, the conflict involved one of the underage members, likely Hyein or Hyein, and her parents, who couldn't see eye to eye. One parent apparently wanted to terminate the contract with a door, while the other didn't. However, because the member is a minor, the consent of both parents was required to move forward legally, and since they allegedly couldn't agree, the matter escalated to family court. That dispute wasn't just a rumor. NewJeans' own legal team had apparently already acknowledged in March that there was friction within one household. Allegedly, an April 3rd statement from the Seoul Central District Court confirmed that joint parental authority couldn't be applied since the parents remained divided, and even so, the case didn't stall. The trial went on, and it seems the parent in favor of ending the contract was given the legal go-ahead. After that article dropped, the internet immediately jumped into guessing mode, trying to figure out which NewJeans member it was talking about. Soon, most fingers pointed at Hyein. People online started connecting random dots, like how she didn't join a group hangout or how she wore a beanie instead of the NJZ cap that the other members wore when arriving in Korea. That was enough for some to assume she was at odds with the rest of the group. While a few defended her, others urged her to reunite with the team. But that wave of speculation didn't last long because fans pushed back hard. They brought up how Hyein had already warned back in September 2024 that Hybe might release misleading stories and leak personal details, which they suspected the company was doing. Plus, someone in the fandom pointed out that Chosun Biz had a track record of cropping and twisting information from legal documents to stir the pot. The fans said the so-called family court meeting never even happened, at least not according to any official records they could find. In their eyes, even if there were real disagreements, it was a private family issue, not something for the public or the media to dissect. The user ended their post with, "Family courts serve various purposes, and without context, any interpretation of this report is purely speculative. That is precisely what Chosun Biz intends, to fuel speculation, incite controversy, and provoke unnecessary uproar." To shut down all the talk, the members' parents stepped in themselves with a public statement. They shared a long letter through a newly updated account run by the families, denying the claims of any conflict or split among them. They said the reports were completely off and wanted to clear up the confusion. According to them, all 5 girls had already made it clear they wouldn't be going back to Hybe, and that choice came after long, thoughtful talks with their families. The parents explained that nothing would have moved forward unless all 5 were on the same page, emphasizing that the members are close, trust each other deeply, and make decisions together. The parents also said they fully support their daughter's choices and that the girls are still close, often spending time together like usual. Interestingly, this whole situation even brought the parents themselves closer, helping them stay in better communication with one another. That's why they felt the rumors were just attempts to stir up trouble that didn't actually exist. Additionally, they didn't ignore the rumors naming Hyein as the member whose parents were disagreeing and made it clear that the online rumors dragging her name were completely untrue. They stressed that Hyein and her family had been fully supportive from the start, standing with the rest of the group. The false claims, they said, were not only baseless, but had also taken a serious emotional toll on Hyein and her parents. However, an interesting part of the statement said, "The matter of adjusting custody out of respect for a minor's wishes pertains to a different member. That family, too, has made a clear and united decision between mother and child." They also pointed out that matters like custody are private and shouldn't be used as fuel for online gossip. But instead of calming things down, their words sparked a new wave of speculation. Since they specifically defended Hyein, people assumed the issue must have involved the only other member who was a minor, Hyein, more specifically, she and her father. That's when criticism started rolling in. Many felt the way the statement was worded unintentionally put the spotlight on Hyein by process of elimination, making it seem like she was the one being singled out. By April 8th, headlines started pointing directly at Hyein's family. News Daily and other Korean outlets reported that her father had gone against the decision to end NewJeans' contract with Adore. The report said one of Hyein's parents was standing alone, not in sync with the other families or members, when it came to breaking away from the company. What's unclear is whether he was against the group's original notice to Adore back in November, or if his disagreement came later, though it was suggested he had initially agreed with the termination, just like the rest of the parents, but changed his mind somewhere along the way and pushed back. This disagreement reportedly led to a court battle between Hyein's parents over who had the legal right to speak for her. Her mother filed a case on March 14th asking for sole authority, and the court sided with her. So going forward, she's now legally recognized as Hyein's representative in any lawsuits tied to this issue. The public response was all over the place. Some backed the father, saying he was doing what he thought was best for his daughter. Others saw it as proof that things weren't as united behind the scenes as the group's camp had claimed, and that some real cracks were starting to show. A commenter wrote, "The fact that one parent opposed tells me enough. The path NewJeans is going down is very dangerous. Their case is weak." Some people online said none of this came as a surprise, believing that the group was already nearing its end, and the huge termination fees would eventually lead to fights, whether among the members or their families. A few even accused the parents of painting a fake picture of unity in their first statement just to make things look better than they really were. Others went further, speculating that both parents might have been misled into thinking ending the contract was safe and that Adore had no legal leverage. But now that the courts seem to be siding with the company, some think that's what caused Hyein's father to backtrack, worried about the financial hit. At the same time, there were plenty who didn't buy any of it. They argued it was just high-playing the media again and trying to create tension among the members on purpose. Fans claimed the strategy failed when they tried it with Hyein's family, so now they've moved on to Hyeein's, slowly going down the line trying to break them apart one by one. A Twitter user wrote, "Accusing Hyein's father of being on Adore's side wasn't enough. Now they're making a new narrative that Hyeein's father is on Adore's side too." Fans pushed back by pointing to the joint letter from the parents, saying it clearly showed everyone was still united. They felt the public was reading too much into things, especially when both the members and their families had already spoken up to show they were on the same page. But others weren't convinced. They brought up the part of that very same statement that quietly confirmed there was a custody issue involving one member. To them, that was all the proof they needed that not everything was as smooth as the parents were trying to make it seem. Seeing the situation, many compared it to 50/50's case. To jog your memory, at the peak of their success, the group suddenly stopped promotions, with Attract citing a member's health as the reason, but fans were left confused. Then on June 23rd, Attract claimed another agency was trying to poach the members, and a few days later, they filed a criminal complaint against Hyein, the producer behind 50/50, accusing him of fraud and secretly taking the copyright to the group's hit song Cupid. Despite this, the members themselves never pointed fingers at Hyein. Instead, they came forward with claims of mistreatment by their company, saying their health had suffered to inhumane levels due to poor management. Believing they had no other choice, they took legal action to terminate their contracts and stood together as a united front, writing letters and statements that showed how connected and determined they were to protect themselves. But then, on October 17th, fans were shocked when Keena withdrew her lawsuit and returned to the company. People wondered what had changed for her, while the others remained committed to the case. Dispatch later revealed that An Sung-gil, CEO of The Givers, had allegedly manipulated the girls into leaving. He reportedly staged COVID excuses to cancel schedules and told them to stop working, while promising them they would win the lawsuit, only to disappear when things went south. According to Keena, he filled their heads with false claims and offered no real evidence. As doubts grew, Keena began to question everything. In messages to the other members, she admitted they were misled by adults, rarely involved in the decision-making, and discouraged from negotiating. She later regretted not speaking with Attract sooner and realized they may have fought a losing battle based on false promises. The situation quickly felt reminiscent of Keena's case, especially with the news that Hyeein's father might be opposing the lawsuit. For months, K-pop fans had been speculating that either Hyein or Hyein would eventually back down and return to Adore, and it seemed like it was actually happening. A comment from March of this year reads, "Hyein and Hyein have a chance. They don't seem to be actively involved in the drama, instead just going along with what everyone else is doing, assuming that if the girls ever have an internal fight, then the perspectives might shift, leaving the other members to pull a Keena." Some fans have long pointed out that Hyein and Hyein haven't been as outspoken against Hybe as other members like Hanni and Danielle. However, it's important to remember that at this point, this is all just speculation and that nothing about Hyein's parents has been confirmed. As mentioned, given Hybe's relentless efforts to win the case, many suspect that this could be a fake article, part of a larger media strategy to drive a wedge between the members and turn public opinion against them. As of April 9th, NewJeans' parents haven't responded to these reports, but they've firmly maintained that they are united in their fight against Adore and Hybe, and that stance isn't changing.